Are we gonna meet Elena's father? That would be interesting. Melindra tells us after she's done reading Layla's text that, oh, Layla, not Elena. Okay, Layla. There's nothing to worry about, but isn't Olinder really far away? Darren says, and then you also have to lead us to your friend that is the pinecone detector. Sounds like a lot of, I feel like the pinecone detector friend is actually Layla's father, so we should probably go meet up with him beforehand. That sounds like a lot of time wasted when you're already 3 days behind every other participant of the tournament. So what? Melinda says. It's not like anyone made any progress since the objective was announced. Nobody has any idea the pine cones can only be found in the sacred forest. In fact, they are avoiding the fox's territory like the plague because they don't want to deal with her. So the chances of them finding even one pine cone in the following week are almost non-existent. Even when they'll finally figure out what they need to do, they'll still need to go against the golden fox. Without using a detector, I can't even imagine how they'd be able to sneak by unnoticed long enough to be able to test every pinecone by hand. So they will need to engage the fox and her followers directly. I think you can imagine how that will go for them. I'm sorry, but I'm still not. What? But I'm not buying this, Kate says. You're Stillwater. Why would you need our help to assassinate a king? Because I've came to Varathia as a tournament participant, Melinda says. It was the only way I could think of to get back to this place after that blasted King of Olinder exiled me. But now the tournament spell is preventing me from hurting any of the locals. So I've been stuck here since day one, trying to find someone who can do the job in my place. And what guarantee do we have that you'll fulfill your promise once we have completed your task? Darren asks. Hell, what guarantee do we even have that you won't start acting like Aiden and try killing us off for fun in the middle of our journey? We already know that you have worked with him in the past. Oh, for crying out loud, Melinda shouts, exasperated. You're so worried about my motives. Why don't you force me to take an oath? You're an enchanter, aren't you? Just make me swear that I'll fulfill my end of the bargain and I won't try to hurt you. We can be done with this. An enchanter's oath, Darren asks. Are you serious? You do know that you'll die if you break such an oath, right? Yes, of course I know that, Melinda says. And you would want us to also make an oath that you won't bring us harm to you during our journey, Darren says. Oh no, you don't need to do that. It's not like you could do anything against me anyways. Huh, Darren says. Then he turns towards us. What do you guys think? Darren asks us, leaving aside her mildly infuriating condescending remarks from earlier. I'd say her deal is actually beginning to not sound so bad. All things considered, at the very least, I'm not getting the feeling that she's trying to cheat us. We'll also get to save a kingdom in the process. Well, Hudrick says, I can't say that toppling a kingdom is something I've had the opportunity of doing. Then it would also make a pretty good story when I'm out drinking in taverns. It certainly sounds more fun than looking for pine cones, that's for sure. I'll admit that if we take everything she said into consideration, Kate says, her way of doing things may actually give us an advantage over the other participants, especially since the contest seems to have been rigged from the very beginning. To only allow the 4 sages to move on to the next round. Yeah, what's up with that anyway, Hardrick says. I can't say that I was aiming to win the tournament, but this is still making me pretty pissed. Why did they even invite the other mages if they weren't planning to give them a fair chance? Was it all just for show? You're forgetting, Luna says, that the condition for passing the round is to bring the pine cones to the city of Galamir. This means the sages can still be attacked on the way to the city, and the pine cones can be stolen from them. So if you're strong or resourceful enough to be able to take an item from a sage, you can still pass to the next round, even if you don't have sufficient power to make the pine cones glow. Plus, you also have the option of joining the team of one of the sages if they accept you. In other words, there's more than one way to pass this round, but they all require dealing with the sages somehow. If you want to avoid the sages, then the pinecone detector will likely be our best option. But I don't know what you guys, I don't know about you guys, I say, but I'm personally really looking forward to causing a little mayhem in the homeland of the ambassador of Olinder. You'll feel pretty good to finally get some payback after all he's put us through in the arena. And besides, Olinder is practically going to become Layla's new home soon, so we may as well do some cleaning up before she moves in. Layla looks a little taken aback by my last comment. I think this is the first time when she realizes that she won't need to part ways with us now that the arena is over. Will you coming with us to Olinder, right? I ask her. Yes, Layla writes, smiling happily. Yes, of course. Well, if everyone is on board with this, Darren says, then we'll get started with the Enchanter's Oath right away. Does anyone have any suggestions for things that we should not forget to include in this oath? So far, Melina has agreed to vow that she won't cause us any harm, and she won't back out of the deal after we have fulfilled our end of the bargain. But maybe there's something else we need to add to make sure that the deal is made in good faith. Alright, let's read it. The deal should not be considered over until the device is actually in our hands. Melina should swear that her friend will What? Swear that her friend with the device won't try to hurt us either. I don't think that's going to happen. And it's clear by now that it's not even a friend to that person. I'm gonna go with the deal should be not be considered over until the device is actually in our hands. Well, yeah, obviously, Darren says, if she expects us to practically fight an entire kingdom all by ourselves, then that'll be damned if I'll do it over a vague promise of her leading us to someone who has what we need. Sounds fair? Sounds fair, Melinda says. Since Darren makes sure that nobody else has any suggestions, he takes out his sword. He slightly cuts one of the fingers from Melinda's left hand with it, and Melinda sprinkles some of the blood dripping from a finger on top of the sword. The weapons begin to shine brightly with a white light. Is it working? Melinda says. Can I say the oath? Yes, the spell is working. Darren says. You may begin. Okay. Melinda says, so first of all, I swear that I'm not going to harm any of you. You do know how this works, right? Darren tells her. If you don't specify a duration, the oath will become life binding. Why did you even tell her? It'll become life binding. If you accept your vow like this, you won't be able to harm us for the rest of your life. Listen, Melinda says while pointing a finger at Darren. If we are all just going to keep doubting each other, we won't get anywhere. Just accept the vow, will you? Well, okay. Why did Darren even mention them? Darren is like very stoic, and no, not stoic is not the right word. Darren is very moral, I suppose. He's very morally good, I suppose. I don't know what word should I use for that, but whatever. He's honorable. Let's go with that. He's very honorable. He normally, no normal person would be like, oh, I should. Most people would be like, let's take advantage of that without even thinking what the consequences are, myself included. But yeah. Listen, Melinda says, well, yeah. Well, okay, I guess, Darren says as he puts one of his hands over the sword and the white light begins to flicker. Wait, hold on, Darren says. Seriously, Darren says, I barely managed to cancel the vow in time. What is it? Can I change the word harm to inflict serious injuries? Melina says, I wouldn't want to get killed for patting someone on the back. What? Oh, inflict. Oh, right, because that could be considered harm, right? This is the Enchanter's Oath. Darren says when you say harm, it's going to actually mean harm. Patting someone on the back and smacking them over the head is out of the question. Besides, you'll get ample warning if the spell considers that you're crossing the line. You won't be able to trigger it accidentally. Oh, Melinda says. Melindra says. I always call her Melinda, but it's Melindra. Says, well, in that case, carry on. As soon as Darren is done confirming the first vow, he urges Melinda to continue with the second vow. Okay, Melinda says, I swear that as soon as you kill the king of Olinder, I will begin leading you towards the person who has the pinecone detector that I told you about earlier. I will not take any breaks unless you specifically ask me to. I will also swear that as soon as I'm done leading you to this person, I will not rest until the device is safely in your hands. Darren moves to is probably going to be Layla's father, more than likely, and we're gonna be like, oh, it was Layla's father. We should have just done this beforehand, and we would have gotten the device. Probably going to be something like that. Darren moves his hand over the until it's a Lasethi that she's leading us to, like a proper Lasethi. But okay. Darren moves his hand over the sword again, confirming Melindra's second vow. The light from his sword then slowly begins to fade until it returns to its normal state. Is that it? Melindra asks. Are we done? Yes, Darren says. The oath is done. Perfect, Melindra says, regaining her smile. So I'm guessing that your team will consist of you, the ice mage, the girl with the banshee, the shapeshifting as a dwarf, and Melindra's... Wait, what? I'm guessing the team will be consisting of you, or Darren, and Kate, and Flower, and Hardrick. Melinda suddenly... stopped suddenly just as she was about to point towards me, and then she starts simply staring at me without saying anything. The dwarf was a giant? Layla writes, surprised, but we're all too focused on the Stillwater girl to pay attention to her writing. Melinda starts heading towards me with her eyebrows furrowed in concentration. She stops less than 1 foot away from me, studying me closely. Melinda says with a pondering look as she studies me from head to toe. Seeing the girl up close, I can't help but notice that she has a rather cute face, which is nicely complemented by her light brown hair that she is wearing in a high ponytail. The pajamas, like clothes that she is wearing in broad daylight, may look a bit ridiculous at first sight, but unlike Aiden's clothes, the one Melinda is wearing seem to have been chosen with a bit more care from an aesthetic point of view. Unlike other regular pajamas, while these clothes definitely look comfortable to move in, they also seem to have been designed to fit in a way that highlights the slim frame of her body and the shape of her breast. That's hilarious. Melinda says again, this time bringing her face much closer to mine, with the same pondering look in her eyes, as she strokes her chin with her right hand. There's something I start to say, but the girl interrupts me.